great deal, etc. And the question would be, when something comes up that sounds like grammar, why haven't I talked about it? And the simple answer is it wasn't necessary, but since Chaim has raised that question, it's an issue that's called Milra and Mil'el. Milra and Mil'el. I am familiar with these two terms. They are grammatical terms and they deal with the emphasis on a word. And why don't you see it with Kaufman's book? Because it's not part of modern Hebrew. It is something that you'll see in biblical Hebrew. It is something you'll see in your Siddur. It basically deals where the accent is. I therefore did the following, and I think it's important that you understand my method. Before I even attempted to answer Hannah's answer, I looked at the Hebrew English dictionary. They have the word milra, they have the word mil'el, but they don't bother, or he doesn't bother the coder to translate what it is, except to say penultimate or something of that nature. In fact, rather than use my own language, I'm choking here, let me just take a look and we'll see what it says here.
Drink some water for a minute real fast, Rabbi.
Baruch, I don't hear you.
Drink some water.
Yeah, I know I have water. When I'm desperate, I'll take some water, don't worry. I'm gonna take water in a second. Let me just find that word. What I'm doing is looking at this dictionary. What I should say is that the dictionary is the makor, is the source. What I should also acknowledge is, don't depend upon my mind. My mind is decades old. If I ever tell you my age, you'll faint. Look at my face, look at my, what's it called, Facebook, and you'll see my age somehow showing up in the next couple of days, and you're gonna say, I don't believe that man is over 100 years old. Not exactly, but I'm getting that way soon. Sooner than I can possibly imagine. I'm looking for that word, milra. Where are you? I see the word milra and I see the word ultima. U-L-T-I-M-A. How many times do you use the word ultima? If I say the word ultima to you, what does it mean? Ultimates? That's what I see here. I then see the word ultima, and following the word ultima, in brackets, I see the word G-R-A-M, gram. I presume the word gram means something that means grammar. I'm looking at the word milra, not milra, milra, with a dagesh chazak and a lamed. I'm seeing the word ultima, gram. That's interesting. So what does that mean to me? Nothing. I'm now going to look at the word mil'el with an ayin. And I'm going to find something that's no different than what I just found right now. I'm looking for the word mil'el. It should be in the same page or two of the word milra. And what do I find by mil'el? I see the word as mil'el. I see the word P-E-N-U-L-T, penult, penultima. And then I see the word grammar by it. I have no translation. What is a penult and what is an ultima? Okay, you all should be confused. It has nothing to do with your everyday English. It has to deal where an accent is. So to begin with, let me first make a correction on the board. I know it is milra and mil'el. Using the dictionary, there's dagesh chazak there. There's dagesh chazak there. So it is mil'el and milra. All right, that's the accepted dictionary spelling of these two words. And basically, when you see a word like boker in the classroom, I often put an arrow where the accent is not the last syllable. That will be mil'el. The emphasis is on top. The word al, I guess, on, I don't know. That's what I do. And if the word is on the bottom, as in the word rea, rea is friend. You see the word, you pronounce it as rea, like this, but the word is actually pronounced with a patak before the ayin, rea. That patak is not a real vowel. So the emphasis is on that seire, I guess. So you see a marker like this in the prayer book. example, so you can see it better, is the word patu. The emphasis would be like this, with this type of marker, implying that you hit this syllable here, you don't hit the last vowel. That vowel is really not a vowel, it's a strong pata. That will be called milarah. That's my understanding. So I said to Hannah, bring the Sidur, or wherever you saw the phrase milarah and milael. Let me see what she's looking at. And then for your purposes, it's more confusing. The dictionary doesn't even define it. It says ultima and pavlova, which sounds like musical terms. I don't know what that sounds like.
What is that technique
That's
they
my
call?
way of showing the.
But that, is there a
It looks like-
grammatical mark, a name for it?
No, this would be basically the penultima.
A penultima?
Yeah. Again, Barbara, be very careful. This is Zen Garber writing. I could be completely wrong.
No, you set the standard, it's good.
And then let me show you how wrong I was before the break. It never dawned on me to check the dictionary. I mean, how often do I go to a cemetery for God's sakes? In the land of Israel right now, every day you go to a cemetery. And in Tehran, do you know what goes on in cemeteries? At least a couple of weeks ago. You go and bury the dead that got killed in a mob riot, so-called mob riot. And Khomeini's gangs are coming with their rifles and shooting people in the cemetery now. Are you aware of this, huh? That they're shooting in the cemeteries?
Who are they shooting? Are they?
This is where the confusion comes in. These are Muslims burying Muslims, and Muslims are coming with rifles and shooting at them. Who would have expected Tehran would go this crazy? It's supposed to be in the land country. It is. It's just this is what happens. Khomeini's losing it completely. People, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, it bothers me. Anyway, kever. And that word I told you, kavran, it happens to be kabaran. I double checked the dictionary. This is the spelling. It's kabiran, not kavran. Again, the spelling without the vowels is identical. That I didn't make a mistake on. But the actual vocalization is kabiran, not kavran.
And what does that mean?
This is the grave digger, the grave digger, the grave digger, the grave digger. But I stand on the association that words that have this combination, with a consonant at the end, are words that deal with are professions, if you want to use that word, repetition, constant act of repeating. The Gazlan is a good example. A kavran is a grave digger, or kabiran is a better pronunciation. And so it goes on. Oh, there's another word. Oh, there's another word. I gotta double check that word because this word affects all of you. Don't get angry at me. Let me find it. I don't know the last time I used the word atzlan. I just know that that word once existed. Never in my classroom. No student ever got the title of an atzlan.
That's from Atzlut, isn't it?
That's a what?
Related to Atzlut?
A what?
Atzlut, one of the higher worlds. Atzlut.
No, I don't have that in mind at all. Atzlan, where are you? Atzlan. 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 A lazy person.
Shlug.
Properly pronounced and properly falls into the category of repetition. If you ever get caught in Atzlan, it's because that's who you are. I did my work. What, you worked for 1 minute? I'm tired Dave Garber had classes that had 40 or 50 people every semester. There was not one student that could record in that slum. In my classroom, you were on fire. If I thought you were sleeping, you got woke up immediately, and you got publicly embarrassed before other students. Atzlan is a great word to know. It's a word you'll call your child by. It's a word you'll call your husband by. If it happens to be a female companion, she's an Atzlanite. To which she'll tell you, what the hell do you do in this house? I do the cleaning, I do the cooking, I'm lazy. All right, if you don't know that word has not been used in your household. Are you familiar with that word regarding your home?
No.
Pick up that Hebrew word. It's a good word to know about Baruch.
It's left hand, huh?
He ain't gonna use that word, don't worry. Okay. All right, people, let me go back to something. I want to teach you something about your reading for this Shabbat in the classroom. But let me just say this, losing my teeth again. Regarding next Tuesday, well, I'll go into the calendar in a few minutes. Let's just do some more Hebrew. All right, the last thing we did was to read page 83, that paragraph there. Or did we read it? Yes, I think we did. Yes, we did. Okay, then if you look at the bottom of page 83, she has a fancy statement called grammar and exercises, equational sentences, and she goes on and on and on and on with that. I'm not going to bother with this except to point out the following. Her way of saying that Hebrew does not have the verb to be in the present tense. That already I told you multiple times. In her English explanation, she writes on the bottom of page 83, in Hebrew, equational, she underlines that word, sentences contain a predicate which does not have a verb in the present tense. I cannot make out a word of what the hell she's saying in her English dealing with Hebrew. Then she continues, in English, the same sentence contains a verb, contains a form of the verb to be, which links the subject and the predicate, etc. And then you got two examples. David student is Hebrew, and English has David is a student. The Hebrew is Heim Chaverim. The English is they are friends. And what's going on here? The Hebrew language does not have the verb to be. Let me put it in a language that you and I can communicate. The verb to be does not exist in Hebrew. The word is and the word are, the word am, which are English words, or the verb to be in the present tense, does not exist. The Hebrew language does not have the indefinite article. Words like a and do not exist in Hebrew, which means that when you translate from Hebrew to English, to make a better English, you'll add the words is, are, depending on your subject, or a or and, depending upon your noun in English, I guess. So if I look at the Hebrew, I read the Hebrew, David student. If I translate the two words literally, David student. English doesn't sound good with that. David is a student. I've added two English words. Hebrew does not have the verb to be in the present tense. That's called a predicate. Hebrew does not have the Hebrew word for a, there's no Hebrew word for a or and. Definite article, yes. If I said David is the student, then David's has student. The definite article is there. The definite state is, not the indefinite state. That's what she's trying to say. And then she tells you to go back to unit number 1. She says here in Hebrew, the verb to be cannot be conjugated in the present tense. That's something I've said multiple times to you. So she says go back to page 47 if you want, etc. All right, let me now go on a little further. The verbal sentence is a predicate, includes a verb. All right, verbal sentences. Let me make it simple to you. You have a subject, and then you have a qualifier. A qualifier would be a verb or would be an adjective. And there must be agreement between the verb form and the adjective with the subject. So if I have something male singular, hayeled, then my verb will have to be masculine singular, my adjective will have to be masculine singular. Hayeled hatov, the boy is the good boy. If I say hayeled tov, the boy is good. Hayeled holech, the boy walks. If my word yeled becomes female, hayalda. Hayalda holechet, not holech. Hayalda tova, the girl is good. Or hayalda hatova. There's also a tendency in Hebrew, and this is something she might bring out later in this particular explanation, and let me summarize it right now, to use the word who or he. If you really want to make sure the word is and are is to be understood, there's a tendency of using the word who for is masculine,
Who is he and she is
he
he.
for feminine singular, and then hain and hain for the plurals. In other words, let's try to say properly. Hain would be the masculine third person plural. Hain is the third person feminine plural. Watch my sentence. David tov, David hu tov. If I say David hu tov, I'm adding the word hu to get across the emphasis. David is good. Not just simply David is good. I want to emphasize he's good. David hu tov. Chana hi tova instead of Chana tova. Chana tova means the same thing, but the use of that third person predicate subject pronoun gives more emphasis. This you'll find in biblical Hebrew a great deal. And if you find it in modern Hebrew, it's again for the purpose of replacing the verb to be that's absent in Hebrew. Same thing goes with the plural. Haverim tovim, haverim heim tovim. If you want to translate it literally, friends, they are. When you say heim, it gets across the emphasis. And the plural would be haverot heim tovos. How much more so when you want to emphasize a negative? Let me finish with that. Amoreh Meshula.
Amoreh Meshula ata.
Amoreh Who Meshula? He's Meshula. I'm losing my teeth right now. Baruch, the question.
Well, you're gonna say something about this week's Torah portion, Hasachor or something like that? The Shabbos?
Yeah, don't worry, I'll get you.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I'll get you.
I just want to hear Devon part of my.
Yeah, just 1 minute.
No, take
I'm
your
getting
time.
to any Torah shit. Just wait a minute.
We gotta be all day.
All right, let me just go on right now. All right, anyway, basically that's what she's doing here. If you look at page 85, the last paragraphs there, look at it, the English has, well, she picks up with an alternative way of forming equational sentences is to insert between the subject and predicate. The subject is your subject, the predicate is a modifier, a third person pronoun, which is what I just did with the who, the he, the him, the hain, which agrees in number and gender with the subject. So David hu student b'università versus David student b'università. Rina hi p'kida b'bank versus Rina p'kida b'bank. And then David v'Rina hey morim versus David v'Rina morim. Again, the addition of the who, the he, the haim, the hain is for the purpose of emphasis or for the absence of the word is or are. And then she writes, the same cannot be done in verbal sentences. By verbal, she means if the predicate is a verb. You don't say David hu lomed, you say David lomed. All right, let me repeat that. The who, the he, the him, the haim is if you have a verbal sentence which is not with a verb. David is a student. Rena is an inspector, a clerk. And then the David and Rena are teachers. Marina and Daya are female teachers. That's when you can use the who and the haim. You don't have to, but if you want to emphasize it. When it comes to verbs, David, he studies Now, you don't use the who with it. Again, this is fancy Hebrew usage, that's what she brings it in. And then finally, you have this thing here with the match and drill, let's do that, then I'll go into the reading. All right, which, she says match columns 1 and 2 and the form. All right, you have Miriam Rofa. Miriam is a doctor, and they can also say Miriam Rofa. Though it's not necessary, but that's her way of saying it. I'm not quite sure what can be done here, except that you take the word Miriam, and then look at column number 2, and what word can you find in column number 2 that will modify the word Miriam? And then you don't use that same word again with the next word in the column. Find another word.
Akida?
No, it's 1 minute. We're gonna get started with you, Iriyahu.
Okay.
The name is Miriam.
You say,
What would you say
you
about
say
Miriam?
Coupe?
Which word?
Coupe? That's what you said?
Are you saying Nikita?
No,
Which word are you matching with Miriam?
cashier. That's coupe?
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you say Miriam Pikida, how would you translate it? If you were to say Pikida, that happens to be an okay association, but what's the translation are you giving for Pikida? Okay, that's where you gotta be careful. If you're gonna give me a word that's gonna complement the word that you're reading, fine, but give me a translation. Baruch Helper.
Akida means either official or clerk.
Okay, Miriam is a clerk. Miriam Pikida. Take one more, Yiriyahu. Haim.
Okay. Haim, what, student team? Maybe? No.
If you see the word Pikidim, fine. Do you see Pikidim in column 2?
Yeah, student, no, yeah.
Did you say Pikidim?
Student team, no.
I'm looking for it. I don't see.
Like they are students.
Again,
No, was that wrong?
are you saying the first word in column 2?
No, student is down. in
How many
column
words
two.
down?
3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I see the word student.
It should be plural.
So you can say Haim student team?
Hain is plural.
They, yeah.
They are a student? No.
No.
You have to find a word that's feminine plural. Look at the word that follows student.
Schoolgirls.
You see the word that follows student? And what's that word?
Well, that's schoolgirls. But
Okay, give me the Hebrew.
what is it in Hebrew? I don't know what it is.
Talmidot.
That'll work on it.
I don't know what it is in Hebrew.
All right, Baruch, help him.
It's okay, look at Talmidot.
That's it. Hey, Talmidot. They are female students, Talmidot. Okay, we gotta work on it. All right, Baruch, take the next 2.
Word Vedan.
Dan is English. Hebrew is
Vedan.
Dan.
Dan.
All right, you got 2 words now. Ruth and
Vedan.
Dan.
I heard Shokonim.
Again,
Shekonim. Sakonim.
Sachkanim. Okay, the
Sachkan.
word is Sachkan. Sachkan is an actor. Good. Sachkanim is the plural actors. Even though you have Ruth as female, but you know the rule in Hebrew, if you have one masculine containing one masculine part of the subject, the word is masculine. So Ruth with Dan Sachkanim. Good. Next one.
Yossi,
Wait a minute, you skipped 2 words.
Oh, okay, no, okay. Well, so Ruth Vedan, and then Uri,
That's it. Uri.
Talamid.
Urima.
Talmid.
Sachkani.
Uri, Talmid. Talmid, the last sentence on the bottom.
The last word means Talmid.
Yeah.
That word is Talmid. You didn't sound that word at all.
Talmid.
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 Talmid, all right, we're gonna use the Hebrew there.
Okay.
All right, now we're gonna get good reading from good old Hannah.
Rina Yardeni, Rina Yardeni, Kofit, or Rofit. No, it is this. Pekida, Rina Yardeni Pekida.
Well, what word are you gonna use?
Rina Yardeni Pekida.
Read it. You're gonna use Talmidah?
Na Pekida.
Pekida, okay, Pekida. All right, what, we already used Pekida. Could you pick up another word?
Rina Yardeni Hi Pekida.
That's another way of saying Pekida. There's another word in column 2 that we haven't used yet.
Mora.
That's it. The word Nora. All right, go another one, Hannah. Go ahead.
Yossi Yardeni student.
You
Talmid.
again?
We can say
Yossi Yardeni will be what?
Yossi Yardeni Talmid o Oreya o More.
Okay, I will go with the word Moret. Okay, Yossi Yardeni Moret. All right, now back to the word Aviva. All right, read another one. Aviva is what?
Aviva Mora.
All right, stop right there. Baruch, read the next one.
Uri ve'aviva. See, Ophaim.
That's it. Thank God we got doctors. Okay, wait a minute. Uri and the word, the vav there is pointed with a patak. Aviva spelled with a chata patak, so vav takes over the sound. Uri va'aviva rofeim are doctors. Take one more, Baruch.
Okay, so, okay. Aviva ve'morim.
No. Before the mem letter, the vowel is pointed as a short.
Umorim.
Miriam.
Or Miriam. Oh,
Miriam, there's no vav there after the mem.
So it's Miriam. Okay. Aviva, it would be Miriam or Miriam?
Miriam.
Aviva, Miriam.
Miriam, not Miriam. Miriam.
Miriam. Okay, let's see. Arisa Kaporot, Talmidot,
All right,
Morim.
No, you don't see the word Morim there. What you do see is Talmidot, that would be sufficient. And then finally, Yirmiyahu, Uri v'Yossi, two Hebrew names.
Say Uri v'Yossi, Haim, or what is guest, or king, or guest?
Which one are you using?
Third one, guest.
Guess.
Or guests.
Orea. Okay, the problem is Uri and Yossi is a double subject.
Haim,
Orea is singular.
Uri v'Yossi, Haim.
Find a plural masculine word in the list here. Can anybody find me a masculine plural word in the second one?
Morim.
Morim, you're making up a word.
No,
Find
no,
me a
no.
word that is plural masculine.
Plural masculine, okay. Shokorim.
Start with the first word.
Rofaim.
Again?
Rofaim.
Rofeim. Rofeim. Rofeim is one word. Sakanim is another word. So you have two masculine plurals. You have the word Morim as well. All right, people, let me have your attention. I normally would not do this, but I think this time around I'd like to do something like this. There's going to be a reading that's going to take place in the synagogue this particular Shabbat. The Shabbat before the holiday of Purim, which comes out at sunset on Monday night. Let me double check everything right now. On Monday, there is, if you follow these rituals, there's the fast of Esther, time of Esther, from sunrise Monday morning to sunset Monday evening. And Monday night you have the Megillat Esther that is read. And then you have, on this particular Shabbat, has a special name to it called Shabbat Zachor, the Sabbath of remembrance, It so happens to be on the 11th day of Thurs in your calendar, and I'm gonna take a look and see what I got going here as far as the Torah is concerned, of which you'll have a special reading of this particular weekend. It just so happens to be the weekend of Zachor, of Tzavet. Just bear with me a little bit. I did not prepare this stuff, that's why if I did prepare it, I'll get through it immediately. Don't just want to work with memory right now. All right, let me just find with the index, so it'll make it easier probably if I have an index here. Let me just see what's going on here. You have Truma. The actual reading itself is called
Hey, don't worry, Hannah, they have the net services at either 5:45 or 6:25 at your husband's shul. So that way you have the whole
Okay,
day.
don't worry about it, she'll be okay.
Conversated.
All right, I'm looking at this particular week, so happens, this particular week, the reading in the synagogue gets the name of Tzavet. How do you get portion names? Every week there is another name for the portion of the Torah scripture, Yirmiyahu that's read, and the reading itself gets its name not from the subject matter at all, but from the opening words that begin that particular weekly reading. I'm looking at chapter 27, that's number 20, chapter 27 of the second book of the Bible, the book of Shemot, which gets its name from the second word, Elish Shemot. These are the names of the children of Israel. That's how that book of Exodus gets its name. In English, it gets the title Exodus because there's a theme. In Hebrew, it gets the name not from the theme of the chapter or the book, but from the opening words. And so I look at chapter 27. It begins with sentence number 20 this week and has the phrase, V'ata titzavet b'nei Israel, and you are to command the children of Israel. The speaker is the Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be his name, according to Jewish tradition. And the Tzavet is Moses and the children of Israel being commanded the following commandments, the dot. And so the name Tzavet, the second word of the opening sentence is the word Tzavet, and this happens to be the name of the portion. This particular week, the portion of Tzavet also gets the name of Zachor. Why Zachor? Because I'm looking at my calendar. Shabbat Zachor. The Shabbat before Purim gets a special Torah reading, or a second Torah reading, and has that word Zachor in it. Why so? Because there is a reading from the book of Deuteronomy that takes place on this particular occasion. To double check everything, I've got my little note here, and the reading from Deuteronomy is Deuteronomy chapter 25. So in every synagogue, in addition to the regular portion, there is second Torah, and that second Torah will have a reading from Deuteronomy chapter 25. I now am looking at the second Torah reading, and I'm looking at chapter 25, and it gets the name from that chapter 25, and it's called the Sabbath of Remembrance, and the Sabbath of Remembrance gets its name because of a special reading that takes place on the Shabbat before Purim. Purim is Monday night at sunset. It is not the Shabbat before the Yom HaZikaron, before Memorial Day. It's not the Shabbat before Yom HaShoah, which deals with Shoah, the Holocaust Memorial. It's not the Shabbat before Yom Kippur. It's the Shabbat, whatever reading occurs before the holiday of Purim. What makes the holiday of Purim unusual, it is a minor holiday, it's not major. What makes the holiday of Purim unusual is not found, the story of Purim, in the oldest collection of Hebrew scriptures yet discovered, called the Dead Sea Scrolls. It is missing for the Dead Sea Scrolls. What makes the Shabbat unusual is that the book of Esther, which is read, does not have the name of God in it at all. At all. The hell is going on here? It's not found with the Dead Sea Scrolls. It doesn't have the name of Hashem in it. But it has the meaning of Zahor. In Deuteronomy chapter 25, the opening words, Zahor, et asher salach Amalek. Remember what Amalek did to you. What's this all about? What is interesting is the Hebrew right now. Zahor, Zahor, Zahor. Nobody in your Beit Knesset will know this. Your job is to teach them that. Zahor is the absolute infinitive of Hebrew. Remember the day I taught you the infinitives? I said it's Zahor, it's Yeshva, Necholam, Haser. Here's the case of the absolute infinitive, where you have the vocalization of Pepor with a Miyu Kamatz. I gave you the example of Zachor, of Bachol Bacha, Esau. Esau truly, truly, truly cried. This word Zachor is not a command. It's the absolute infinitive. Truly remember what Amalek did to you. What the hell did Amalek do? Amalek is mentioned in the book of Genesis as being the grandson of Edom. Edom, eventually known as Rome. Amalek did one little thing. They attacked a people after its exodus on the road. You think of that word Amalek, and what you have is this particular concept right now. First, let me read a paragraph. Remember what Amalek did to you. Zachor et asher salach Amalek, derek b'tzedkah Yisrael, on the road that you left Egypt. And then the English continues, how he met you by the way and smote the hindmost of you, all that were enfeebled in the rear, when you were faint and weary, and by that type of act, he feared thy God. Think now, November 7th, 2023. Therefore it shall be when the Lord your God has given you rest from among your enemies round about, in the land which the Lord your God gives you for an inheritance to possess it. You shall then blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, you shall not forget. You shall blot out, you shall not forget. Lo tishkach, do not forget. You shall blot out. Remember what happened to you. And when is the condition for that to happen? In the land that you finally will have as inheritance, when you're now at rest, you are never to forget what Amalek did. Think now, current history. Gaza, genocide, apartheid, colonialism, from river to sea, demonstrations taking place. Amalek never dies, people. Amalek is not just Palestinianism. Amalek is radical Islam. Amalek is shooting people dead in Tehran right now. What are you going to do? Sit back saying it doesn't affect me? Are you aware of what's happening in New York City? Times Square is dominated by people praying Islam on the streets. You can't even go by traffic anymore. I have nothing wrong with Islam. In fact, an Islamic student is going to do a whole interview with me. Faisal, for the newspaper. But this Amalek business. And what makes this thing interesting is that Amalek, according to 1 Chronicles, is eventually wiped out, so to speak. And my point is, Amalek is not a people, it's a concept. It will never die. And learn something right now that you never heard before. In the days of messianic peace, only one book is written. The Torah is not necessary. The prophets are no longer crucial. The book of Esther will still be written. You can wipe out people, you can destroy lands. You cannot get rid of ideas. It's a message. And the message is given by the word Zahor, remember. And let me give you an example. Before class on Tuesday and Thursday, I have a physical care therapist who has to work with me. I don't want it, they tell her I have to have it. He's Armenian. We talked yesterday. And he said, Professor, are you aware of the lie that they teach in public schools? I said, what the hell are you talking about? Anti-Semitism? No. In American public schools, they teach that the Americans, your army, defeated the Germans. They did not. America comes in at the end. The Russians defeated the Nazis. The hell are you talking about? The Russians! And in Armenia now, you can't stop this guy. The Turks are buying all the territory. They're building Turkish hotels in Armenia. How come? The Armenians want money. What you see what's happening. What seems to be slavery, abduction, is now reversed. And what are you doing about it? You're living in America. And what you guys gotta do is go in your car right now, go to Glendale. You have no idea how you cannot pass Glendale. You just took it over. They park their cars in front of schools, they don't follow traffic laws. I said, Gary, are you happy? He said, of course not, they're embarrassing to me. Zachor, remember. On Tuesday, we will have classes. If you're going to be observant, you'll go to your services before or go at night. And the whole business about doing the Purim, do it as you see fit. And then watch my Facebook. There's an announcement that will be made over the weekend. I'll see everybody who's going to come on Tuesday. We will continue. We'll talk more about the Megillat Esther on Tuesday, by the way. I'll use that part. Probably the hour we'll talk about the Megillah. All right, people. Shabbat shalom. And take care of yourselves. If you're fasting on Monday, it's a sunrise to sunset. It's not a difficult fast at all.